Tuesday. So with this win here tonight, they're guaranteed a top 2 finish, which means they will qualify for this summer's Gold Cup. But now what they need is a draw against Honduras, really. Or I should say, a nice little win, but a draw will also get them first place based on goal differential. They're leading Honduras right now. So this is what they're playing for, a spot in the Final Four in Nations League if they finish tops in the group. Top 2, which that's already been confirmed. They've qualified for the Gold Cup. And there's a lot that's going on this year, and especially when it comes to Nations League, in particular, next year's Nations League, as you can see all the way at the bottom there, staying in the top group, being able to qualify for Copa America. We know the Canadians, as one of the host nations, have automatically qualified for the 2026 World Cup. John Herdman adamant they need tough competition to get ready for 2026. We said it at halftime, Jimmy. It was a bit of a stop-and-go game, but overall, what are your impressions of this one?
Overall, it wasn't a great game. It was not a great game at all. But these are matches that you're going to end up playing that are going to be physical. They're going to be games that aren't going to be pretty, but all you want to do is try to get something out of the game. They got the win. They've scored 2 goals, and they're getting out of there with 3 points. So for me, they got what they wanted, but overall, if you're looking for a fancy game, KJ, and knocking the ball around and playing fancy football, that wasn't the game today.
No, it was always going to be difficult. We outlined that. Obviously, the field played a big part in the rhythm of the game, I think. We're getting control of it. 11 players who've never played together before completely in that team, and they're just coming off, an international window of three months. So not a lot of continuity there. In the end, though, job done. Tick the box. David scores, tick the box. Larin scores, tick the box. So there's a lot of things to be happy about. They get the clean sheet, tick that box as well. Go to the top of the table. So, I thought they controlled it quite well. I think they could have reached a number of gears in that second half if they needed them, but they just decided not to go there. And in the end, it was a comfortable victory.
Yeah, it was. And don't get me wrong. I think when they're at home next and they're playing against Honduras, it'll be a completely different game. I think you'll see the real Canada, and you'll see us controlling the game, knocking the ball around, playing a completely different brand of football than what we saw today.
You're in my head. That was going to be my follow-up question, is because you are going to be at BMO Field. You are going to be on a better pitch. You're also just going to be at home. It's a tougher competition in Honduras, but it'll also be Canada's second game together. Do you feel that we will see a team that looks like it's just gelled together a little bit more? You can practice all you want. We all know this in the world of sports. You got to play.
Yeah, for sure. Look, you're going to see a completely different game. It's always difficult when you're traveling on the road and you're going to the Caribbean islands, and it's different environment, different elements. But you're always most comfortable when you come back home, and everybody knows BMO Field. They know the pitch is going to be perfect for them. There's going to be a good atmosphere. The fans will be supporting the team. So the whole dynamic is going to be completely different than what it was down there. But at the end of the day, look, they got the 3 points. That's what they wanted. They didn't want to get a draw. They didn't want to lose. They wanted to win the game. They scored 2 goals and 3 points. That's what they wanted, they got.
They did. And I think, to answer your question, I think with the games now of meaning, there's a standard that you have to reach if you're going to get to put on that Canada shirt. And the changes are only going to be necessary if you have to do them. Stephen Vettori going to be suspended. Who are they going to play there? Can Tejan Buchanan play? Is he fit? We know that Kamar Miller, a stalwart, has been fantastic for Canada, cannot play. Alistair Johnston can come back. Those are all things now when you think about the cards, and you're just going to play your main cards every time. This is what he wants to do. They want to keep that level. So, the majority of those players will be playing again right from the start, and it's getting harder and harder to crack that as it was in the World Cup with that depth. Those depth, I think they want to raise the depth and they want to raise the quality at the top. And by doing that, you're just going to keep playing the same players, because these games, they're of great meaning, and they will continue to be so all through 2023.
Play the same cards as your ace, Jonathan David. Again, talked about it in the pregame show. He opened up the score in the 23rd minute. This guy, they call him the Iceman for a reason. It's just goals, 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 KJ.
Yeah, it was a great moment to score, because Canada, it was a difficult 20 minutes, which we've sometimes seen with this Canadian team, but it's a delightful ball by Larea. A great overlapping run that opened the space there by Alphonso Davies. And then, it's just, again, Jonathan David seeing that. It's one thing to put a ball in like that. It's another thing to understand that how instinctively you've just got to place that quickly with your toes and know you've only got that split second to put it in. But it's just a real joy to watch. I still don't think Canada understands how special this player is. I know there's a pretty special player who skates around in Edmonton. Has got 60 goals in the NHL. He'll probably win a Lou Marsh, or whatever it's called these days. But Jonathan David's at that level now where he should be talked about by people who don't follow soccer in this country, because he's that good.
I think he will, though. I think it's going to take a little bit of time as well, and depends what club he goes to as well.
True.
And I think his next move is really going to define it all, and how how everybody in this country embraces him. Because I think right now, you're right in what you're saying. Maybe he's at a big club in Europe, in France, but it's still not a club that everybody knows. And I think eventually when he gets to one of the big clubs, everybody will know his name in this country.
Soft-spoken Jonathan David, but do not kid yourself, a silent assassin on the pitch. Here he is.
Just in difficult situations, but I think after we score the 2 goals and they get the red card, I think after that we just have to manage the game, then see it out.
How important is this win ahead of your game with Honduras, especially given the Final Four possibility?
Obviously very important. We know that it's a game that we have to win, and at home too. So I think we know that it's going to be difficult. Honduras is a good opponent, but if we play how we know how to play, I think we'll get the job done.
I think so too. Congrats. Thank you.
He comes into this camp, top form. Not surprised he scores a goal. Larin, who was up front with him, also comes into this camp, top form. He scores a goal. What did you like about Larin's goal in the 43rd minute?
I thought his movement was great, and I thought the way that he took it was brilliant. I mean, it was such a quick release. As that ball came in, he didn't even look at the goal. He knows exactly where he's going with this ball. Look at his movements on it. Just opens up the hips and places it into the corner. No, if that's me or KJ, we've got to take a chuck. We've got to look, see where the keeper is, and then try to find it back in the net. But you could see, just with someone that has so much confidence as he does right now, and especially his form that he's in Spain, and for him to score that goal, it was fantastic. What a gret finish that was.
I thought you were going to say that's a hip flexor injury for you if that was very quick. But, down on the ground you go.
I would have been down on one knee. Get me off. I'm out.
The great thing about watching those two play, because they're full of confidence and full of goals, for me, it's not just the goals, it's the rest of their play. And in a game like today, I thought their pressing lanes, the way that they worked off the ball, you can just see that they're just at another level. That you didn't see that earlier this season with Larin. So the goals will bring confidence in other areas as well. They make them feel good about themselves. They're just every decision they're making. I think that we don't talk enough about their defensive play away from the game and the way that they press and the way that they hold the ball, they come to the ball. They're both very similar in coming to the ball rather than playing off the shoulder, which I think is something like other players like Akinola can get the chances because they're different kind of strikers. But when they're scoring goals, it just helps everything else, and you can just see the flying.
Yeah, it does, and I think, as strikers as well, when a game's a little bit scrappy. You know when you're not going to get the service that you're normally going to get in certain games when it's free flowing and the fullbacks are bombing on and good deliveries coming into the box, but they know they're going to get 1 or 2 chances in that game, and they took them as soon as they came in. I thought David's finish was fantastic, and Larin. They're an absolute pleasure to watch both of them right now, and they've got bags of confidence, and it's great to see.
Yeah, Larin, for the men, the all-time leading goal scorer. For the men, the all-time caps leader, Atiba Hutchinson, and he comes in, earns cap 102. And we've spoken to John Herdman as well. This is going to be a theme, gentlemen, till the 2026 World Cup, is transition and turnover and passing of the torch, but he keeps emphasizing how valuable Atiba Hutchinson's experience is and still feels like he's at the top of his game, KJ.
Yeah, it's been a difficult few months for Atiba, obviously in Besiktas and not getting many minutes. I have to say, I didn't think I'd ever see that again, though. I was one of the blessed media members who waited about an hour and a half in Al Thumama Stadium in Qatar after the game against Morocco to speak to Atiba because we all thought it was done, right? And I think he thought it was done. I think he said to me, like, I'm very close, like 101 caps, just played at a World Cup, coming up to the age of 40. I think it felt like the natural ending, but because Besiktas, he hasn't played many minutes, I think it's actually helped him here. And all of a sudden, he's still got the invite. Midfielders, they need more quality. He's always going to be invited and asked if he wants to play. And all of a sudden, now on the horizon, there's a chance that maybe he can win a trophy. Yeah. Why wouldn't he just hang on for a few more months?
I think you're more upset that you waited for an hour and a half and then saw him coming on that pitch today.
Like, I thought I got that final interview.
I thought it was done, but to be honest, whenever I would say this, I would add this, Jimmy. Anybody who's on the fence about going on Tuesday to BMO Field, you get to watch that guy play for Canada again. It's worth the price of the ticket.
Yeah,
no, I mean,
absolutely.
Arguably the greatest player this country's ever produced in this men's national team program, and I feel like we're going to create a new generation of Canadian men's national team fans for years to come. And, when they're our age, sitting on the couch, they're going to be talking about Fonzie and they're talking about Jonathan David, right? And then we're going to be the ones in our 60s and 70s going, well, actually, there was this guy called Atiba Hutchinson who was...
In our rocking chairs?
Yeah, who led the way.
No, but
you know what I mean?
You're absolutely right when you're saying, and I was fortunate enough, I got to play with him.
Right.
And experience traveling with him, being in the dressing room, being on pitches in big games, and I don't think there's anybody in this country that can say a bad word about Atiba Hutchinson. He's the ultimate professional. You even see there, he's coming onto the pitch. Victoria's running over, giving the armband. Everybody's giving a hug. He's the most well-respected guy in this country, and it's great to see him still going and still picking up these caps.
And that's why Herdman feels like his presence is just invaluable on this team. There's another big presence, and he's between the sticks, and that's Milan Borjan, who wasn't busy tonight as we bring you the all-state save of the match. Wow, he worked really hard for that one. Hey, but you know what? He still has to be on his toes because that second half, even though Curaçao was down a man, they didn't. What?
You're telling me that was a great save?
Everyone knows that I'm a goalie hugger, and I will just say that he still had to be on his toes in this one.
Andy's favorite segment is the all-state save of the match.
I know. I'm all about, when are we talking about the goalkeepers? Full-time stats brought to you by Toyota, but the Canadians really did start to pull away too in that second half, although Jonathan David, Cyle, Larin remain your goal scorers in this one. When we return, we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a little rapid-fire segment where we're just going to look at the Canadians whose stock has risen. Which CPLer do you think has a chance to get called up to the Canadian men's national team? Let's have a little fun, shall we? Everyone's feeling good. What are those guys talking about? What are those fans up to? 2-0, Canada beats Curaçao in Concacaf Nations League.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis. And all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
Let's fill up your calendar, shall we, for the month of April. Very busy here on One Soccer. Concacaf Champions League, the quarterfinals begin. Whitecaps taking on LAFC. The Canadian women will be taking on France in France as they continue to prepare for their World Cup this summer. The Gold Cup draw April 14th. We know the Canadian men are now going. April 15th, it's the CPL opening weekend. Here we go, giddy up. And then April 18th is the start of the Canadian Championships preliminary round. Throw in April 9th. It's my birthday. Feel free to...
Don't forget, Jimmy.
Jimmy's just not even
Don't
having
forget,
it.
mate. Don't forget.
What was it?
Don't worry. I'll put it in your phone.
Yeah,
and I'll put an
bet.
alarm and everything so you will know exactly what day it is. Let's have a little bit of fun here right now. We like to play stock up, stock down, but we're just going to talk about stock up. KJ, who do you think Canadian player will see his stock rise the most in 2023?
Wow. I'm going to go with Tajon Buchanan. And I know I'm thinking probably of like the high end. He's already up there. But I think he can go to the very top. I really do. And, you know, we talked a little bit about Qatar and the World Cup prior to that. It's still stuck in my memory pretty much when I asked John Herdman post-match for the Morocco game, why did Alphonso Davies start the game on the right? And his answer was that he trusted Tajon Buchanan more as a two-way player at that time to go up against someone like Hakimi. And I thought that was really interesting, that this guy can do everything on and off the ball. His work rate is terrific. He's fantastic in the final third. We know he's going through, a difficult time with managers changing at Bruges, but he's still being very good individually. And I think he's going to go to an elite league fast. And I think he's going to be a consistent UEFA Champions League player every year. So for me, the stock will go like that. I don't know how you took the question, but it could, obviously you can take it from the player who's going lower down. But
yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good show, but I'm going to go with somebody that's kind of off the record, kind of hidden right now, and that's Victor Latori, who's at Ross County right now. I had a great chat with Malky Mackay, the manager, who's been training him, working with him, and he's saying right now that he is finding his feet. He struggled at first when he went to Scotland, struggled with the intensity levels. They've worked on his strength, and they're saying right now the way that he's playing football, Malky Mackay, the manager of the club, believes that he can get to that next level, and it's only a matter of time for him to get there right now, and he's performing ever so well for Ross County.
He's been brilliant for them. As Jimmy said, I watched him against Rangers recently, and I think he played Rangers early in the season. He got pulled off at half-time. They went on lost 4-0. He was like a different player, and that's why he's in this camp, because he's playing those games that mean something, and obviously, you got to suffer in those games.
He's coming into form as well.
Yeah.
Really
he leads into the next question, because Latori Zator, former CPL players, now getting the call with the Canadian men's national team. So who do you think, which CPL player do you think also has the best chance of getting called up?
Right away or in time?
Well, in 2023. This is the year.
Okay. I think, for me, Asaza de Rosario. That's going to be my shout. I think he's got a good chance. I like the way that he plays. He's got an eye for goal. He's got a good physique. He's quick. And for me, I think he's going to be the one that's going to get a call up, hopefully soon.
It's a good shout. Obviously, he played under you as well, so you know him well, don't you? Obviously, a little bit under your.
A little bit, but
yeah.
Jimmy wants to do one of these once
no,
he gets called up.
No, because
I'm kidding.
No, he didn't
play under you,
he
but
didn't
obviously,
play under me.
but you know him well at the York.
I've always liked him. I've always liked the way that he plays. I like his movement. He's better than his dad, so.
I'll tell you what, he hits the ball, the speed he hits the ball at the CPL level is unlike many other players. The way, the quick release
it's a sweet spot. I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
The way that he hits that sweet spot. He's got a great technique when he hits it.
Yeah.
I really like the way that he plays as well. So
I like that shout
Who's
a
your
lot.
guy?
I'm going to go. It's going to take a lot for him to do it this year, but I'm going to pick a player I really like in the Canadian Premier League that is developing under, I think, one of the best coaches we've got in this country, in Bobby Sminiotis. I'm going to pick Alessandro Hajabrapor because he's only 21. Midfield, as we saw with Latori, is a real opportunity to come in and play. And I know we're going to show some goals of his, but for me, it's not about the goals. This player has become so clever when I watch him live now. He reads the game really well. He's a 6, which I think is a position that we're going in the end that Canada's going to need to develop. Look, I think he's going to go to. I think he will get a bigger move. He'll go to Europe eventually. Tactically, he's getting a master's degree under Bobby Sminiotis at the moment. He's a different player than he was at Pacific. He covers ground really well. He's got a good left foot, as we saw with that pass feed he made to Schwanier in the semi-final last year. Reads the game supremely well. And don't sleep on that Forge team, because the way they play tactically, they play at a very, very high level in the Canadian Premier League. And he, as I said earlier, the way he plays in that system and operates, it might not be within the 2023 calendar year, but in the next 12 months or so, why not?
May have been a coincidence. Maybe you know the next question I'm going to ask, because you both mentioned young guys, 21 years of age. And Herdman had called for more under 21 players in the CPL. What do you make of that? Like, do you like that with more under 21, or do you feel like the CPL should be more of a mix as opposed to younger development?
I'll be fascinated to think what Jimmy thinks. He's coached in the league, but I think the balance is about right. Mm-hmm. Now, if they've got 2,000 minutes they have to play of under 21 minutes, they have to have the certain amount of Canadians on the pitch. I heard John say that in the press conference, and I know it's been picked up. I'm not quite sure he meant a drastic change to what is already there. He might be talking about a slight more adjustment, and I can understand why. He wants those young players like Latori to come out of the league at 2021 and go on and develop. I think they're about right the way they are at the moment, because it's still got to be a professional men's league. It cannot be like an academy where you're just playing against young players, Jimmy.
No, I agree with you. I think they've got the number right. Maybe add more minutes than what's already there for these young players to play. But at the end of the day, we still got to remember it's still professional football. These clubs want to They want to be successful. They want to win. They want to go after Canadian championships. They want to get into Champions League football. So in order to do that, you need a good balance. You can't just rely on young players, because if you have too many young players, you're not winning much.
Well, speaking of winning, they want to win just about everything they can this year. But I do ask you this: is the Gold Cup more important than the Nations League Final?
Former Gold Cup winner.
I would say the Gold Cup.
Set that up for you.
Did you get like a little mini trophy to take home?
No.
Oh.
I just got to pick up the big one, and I mean,
Did you get a medal?
I tried not to. I tried to steal it, but it's too big.
Did you get a medal?
Yeah, we got a medal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got a medal for that.
Nice. Maybe bring it in next time.
Really? Yeah.
We're in. I think it's probably the Gold Cup because of the competition, building 3 group games. The one thing I would say to argue is the Nations League's first. So imagine like that being the win. Like imagine going to Vegas and beating Mexico or the United States to win that to win that Nations League heading into the Gold Cup. That's of real significance. That's why the Nations League could be bigger, although obviously the Gold Cup is the continental tournament.
Yeah. I only ask because we have a little mini MLS Cup at home. Very cute. And I just thought maybe you got like a little replica.
No, we didn't.
No?
CSA didn't get us one.
Sorry,
Funny
just
enough.
rub that in your face a little bit. But we know the Canadians are well on their way to the Gold Cup. With the win tonight, they qualified by guaranteeing a top 2 finish in the group. Now it's all about finishing first, and that's what they'll look to do in order to qualify for Nations League Final, or the Final 4, I should say, because the semifinals will go June 15th. If they win that, the final goes June 18th. They got to get by Honduras next. So that'll go Tuesday. We'll get you started 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on One Soccer. So pretty exciting. When you take a look at quickly ahead here, KJ against Honduras, this is a team that they lost 2-1 to the last time they faced them. What's some of the biggest challenges here?
Yeah, I think John Herdman will look at today and think there's some things he can take out of it. I think they've got to start better, and I think he knows that as well. It's a bit of a consistent theme. They'll want to come out the gates and start pretty quickly. The longer Honduras feels like they're in the game. I mean, they did that in the World Cup qualifiers. Honduras were a pain in that game at BMO Field. So, look, Honduras have a lot to play for as well here. They want to continue to get to the point where they can go and play competitive games as well. So, look, I think we expect to see most of what we'll see is here. It's interesting that Vittoria is suspended with Kamal Miller already being out. Alistair Johnston comes in as well, but there's not that continuity. We saw today, Jimmy, a couple of long balls in behind the defense that was playing that high line. Honduras have got some rapid players who can get in behind it a little bit. Just a couple of moments like this, I wanted to bring people's attention. You can just get turned on that wrong side. It slows down a little bit and becomes a bit predictable with this Curaçao team. But we know against Honduras, Kyoto and other players, certainly other top CONCACAF nations, Jimmy, those balls in behind, and suddenly you're exposing teams, much the way that Morocco did for that second goal in Qatar.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's an area that we have to improve on, especially in the center defense. But I don't see it being too much of a big deal for us, especially being at home. Like I said before, I think the dynamic's going to change completely. The way that we play, I think, will be on the front foot. We saw glimpses of that press today, in the attacking third where we won the ball in good areas. I think you're going to see that a lot more all over the park. And like I said before, it's going to be a different game. So I'm looking forward to that match on Tuesday.
30 seconds here, but if you were again to look ahead at the season as a whole, what maybe is the most concerning area for you with Canada?
That's still at the back, I think. Okay. I still think at the back. I mean, going forward, looking good, and the midfield is getting better as well. I think we've got good fullbacks going forward. And don't get me wrong, we do have good center backs, but I just think we need to shore up that back because I think we get exposed a little bit too often. You saw that there against Curaçao, one ball over top. Uruguay, just before the World Cup, we got exposed. Japan, we got exposed. So like we've got to fix these areas up, and it seems to be a pattern now, but it needs to get better.
All great points. The only other thing I'd say is midfield. If they want to start controlling games more and go out there and dictate the possession, they need to get and there's not a lot of midfield quality coming through at the moment. That's a bit of a concern as well. But hey, it's a positive night. They got the two goals.
They got Kone.
They got Kone now.
Very true. And they got the win. You're right. 2-0 over Curaçao. Up next will be Honduras. Great to see the Canadian men back in action. First time in 3 months since their World Cup campaign ended. We'll see you again on Tuesday right here. One Soccer. We'll have the action on behalf of everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night, Canada.
to play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take